Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video where today we'll be learning how to create a Hangman game in Python. Before we actually start, I will not be implementing the actual Hangman part of it. I mean the part where you draw the actual stick figure. We will only be going through the core game logic of how to actually create a program in such a way that I can keep on asking for letters and I can keep on filling in whatever letters we have guessed right. The actual hangman part, I might do it in another separate video since that will require some more Python GUI. We might be use like an external model like Pygame or something, but I'm not sure yet. For now, let's just start with how to create a hangman game from the basic. Okay, so first thing what you have to do is we have to create a list, and for my game it is going to be the words that are going to be guessed are going to be a random list of colors. You can make it anything you want to. It could be a list of animals, could be a list of I don't know, could be a list of digital items, anything literally. But for me, I'm just going to put a list of colors since that's very easy to grasp. So we can just start with, let's say, 5 colors: red, yellow, sorry, blue, and these are all going to be string values. We're going to have green, we're going to have one more, pink. Okay, so these are going to be our five random colors, and of course you can always add more, which are going to be randomly selected each time we run the game. So to ensure we randomly select a color, we're going to use the random module. So you have to import it, since this is an external module. You want to import it so you can use in any of its functions, and we're going to choose a color, and this is going to be a random dot choice of list of colors. This random dot choice basically chooses a random element from the list you've given over here. This is a list, so you can choose a random element. So each time we run this program, this particular line will give us one of these 5 elements, which is what we want. We want a random element, and it will be stored inside color. And now what you want to do is first just to show that it gives a random color. You can see when I ran it once, it gave red. If I run again, it gives yellow, pink, green. You can see it gives us a random number each time you run it. Right, this will come useful because of course on hangman you don't want to only have one color, since then the person can only play it once. Right, better to have more variety, so the user can maybe play 5 times at least. If you add more colors to this, will easily definitely be able to play more than 5 times. Now what you want to do is you want to be able to store this somewhere. So what I like to do is I'm going to make a thing called, or variable called color list, not a thing. I want to make this store it to the color, right? And again, I just want to show what I mean by this. So color is actually a string, but I actually want it in a list form. So color list is going to have the same thing but as a list, and this will help us in the future when you have to find out whether the user has got a U or a E or a L or has not got any of these. It's easier to search within a string than within a list. So it's best to do that. And I'm going to have another list which is going to be the current state of the game, and of course initially the user will have no letter guessed. So I'm just going to do a list which has just an empty string, maybe not empty string. I'm going to make it equal to like a string with underscore to show that this letter has not been filled into the length of color list or color, it doesn't matter. Again, just to show what I mean, so we have color, which is going to be a random color. We have color list, which is going to be the list of the random color, and we have current state, which is going to be the current state. So if you had blue, you can see all these guys are underlined. And when the game starts, let's say for example, if the user gives a U, then we'll fill in a U over here, and we'll see how to do that. But for now, we've got the current state of the game, which is going to be stored in this list called current state. Okay. So now let's actually start the main loop, right? Where we're going to start. So what I'm going to do is, why am I showing my variables? I'm going to have a word guessed, which means that the user has guessed the whole word, the whole word I mean, and this is going to be equal to false, right? And I'm going to have a while loop, which is going to be while not word guessed, and this is gonna, what this means is that it's going to be not a false, it is going to give us true. So as long as this is false, this remains true. So as long as the user has not guessed the word, we will just keep on going to the loop. The user can keep on giving us more and more letters. So first thing we want to do is we want to display our current state. I want to display current state. And I'm going to put this in a function. The reason it's giving me a red squiggly line, is because, well, I'm not defined the function. So let me go up and let me define the function. So you're going to have a function display current state, and ensure you get each letter right. So this might will cause an error. And this is basically just going to display the current state. So we already have a list over here. So for each element in that list current state, since this is in a list, but you might want to show it as each of them can be on one line. So I'll print each element in the list, and I'll add a space in between. And before we end, I'm going to say end is equal to nothing. So let me just break this down again. We have a function. We are iterating through each item in this list, which is just going to be, and of course, initially it's just going to be blank of these guys. This is going to be blank underscore characters. And for each of them, I'm going to print that underscore character, and I'm going to give a space. And this part over here ensures that the print statement does not go to the next line. And this probably all will probably all make sense when I actually run the code. You can see, okay, I just realized there's an error. I mean, I've created an infinite loop basically with causing an error. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna have user guess, and I'll get into this line a little bit more later. Just want to show this, the fact that it has these guys. We actually don't need these guys anymore. So it's just going to show us currently it has chosen blue or pink or cyan. So I can see it has 4 letters, but it is showing us the fact that it has 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's showing us the current state of the thing. And also just add a print statement over here. That should also go to the next line. After finishes displaying current state, the cursor goes to the next line. Okay. So now we have displayed the current state. Now we can ask the user to give a input. We can ask the user to give an input. I'm going to give another print statement, to be honest. Let me give it over here actually. So when I print with a slash n, this slash n basically creates a new line. Again, you don't have to do any of this. It's just to make it more neater in the final code. The slash n creates a new line. So after I display the current state, let's ask for input. So our user's guess is going to be a input, obviously, and I can say guess a letter or something like that. Right? So the user is going to guess a letter. Now again, let me just run the code. We get these 4 guys that say guess a letter. So I can say B, or I can say T, or I can say R. Right? You can say any of them. So now what we want to do, after we have got the letter, I can say user letter, I would say. Could be anything. Now we want to check whether the user letter is in this color list. Again, I hope you remember, color list is the list of the colors. So if the user letter is in color list, then we want to do something. But before we actually add it in, we want to ensure that it's already not in current state. So what this is checking for is, for example, if we had already given, let's say we had chosen blue, or let's say not us, let's say the program chose blue, and we gave B, it inputted B, but then we can't again give B. So if the letter is in color list and it is in current state, meaning the user has already given this letter. User has already given this letter, so we can say something like you have already guessed this letter. You have already guessed this letter, right? And I can use an else statement, and in this else statement, if it is in color list but not in current state, hence what that means is that the user has actually guessed a new letter. So what we can do is we can current state update current state the list with that letter, with this letter. And again, you can see there's an error happening because I have not created the function. So we have another function called update current state, which is going to take the user letter and is going to update it to wherever it has to be updated. So again, I'm just gonna go now. This time I'm going to use a range function, and the range function basically goes from 0 to 1 minus the length of length of current state minus 1. So if the length was, let's say, 4, it will go from 0 to 3. It helps because in lists when you're into indexing, you want to start from 0. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check that if the color list, which now I hope it's kind of making sense, that I'm checking length of the current state. I could check length of color list also. It doesn't matter, color list, because both of these guys are always going to have the same length, because this has been defined with the length of color list. This is going to equal to these guys into the length of color list. So they are being defined with the same length. So it doesn't matter which one length I choose, as long as it goes to both these guys' length. So if color list, and I can say color list of I. So if the I, which will be 0, 1, 2, 3, how much of it has to go through. If any element in color list is equal to user's letter, if any, this only happens only if you're sure that it is not in current state and that it is in color list. So it has to be for at least one of them. At least if we have two else, so it will also be for more than one of them. But at least one of the one of these guys will be equal to user letter. And if it is, we can just change current states I, which means the exact same position in current state, we can change it to a user letter. So again, we are iterating to a range now, which is going to go from 0 to length of color list minus 1. So let's say we chose blue, it will go from 0 to 3. And if any position in the color list is equal to the user's letter, then that same position in current state has to equal to user letter, to ensure that we are actually updating the current state to the letter which the user has chosen. Let me run the code once more. Sure. So let's say we chose, I'm not sure, let's say I wrote B. Okay, the B is not it, so maybe it's pink. Yeah, so you can see how when I wrote P, it gives me P. So what happened over here is I wrote P over here, right? So we got P over here, and then user letter was in current list because we had pink as our color. User letter was not in current state. It was not in current state when I gave P, and hence it went to update current state user letter. And over here, it found that the first character or the first element of color list was equal to user letter, and hence it made that same position in current state equal to user letter. And hence this current state over here, which we are displaying using this function, which is printing everything in current state, is printing the P over here. If I wrote, let's say N, it also print the N over here. Let's say K, it will print K, like that. Now first thing I want to do is I also want to add a few print statements to ensure there's enough space between all these guys. And I did not show that, but let's say we had, okay, this is going to be yellow, I think. Yeah, so let's say I wrote Y again. I've already given Y. It says you have already guessed this letter, because now Y is both in color list and in current state. You can see it's also there in current state, and I'm just saying you have already guessed this letter. I also just want to show this mechanic. Okay, so we have finished for if it was in color list. If it is not in color list, basically means that the user has guessed something incorrect. You can say try again, because the thing is not part of the, the letter the users guess is not one of the letters in the word. As simple as that. And of course this we can heavily modify to actually, now this is a part where we actually cause the hangman to come. This is the hangman part where we draw the hangman and keep on drawing it. It's kind of hard to do that over here, but maybe I'll do it either over here in one of my upcoming videos, or I will do it I'll do it using an external model called Pygame, which you can actually use a GUI. But that's all for later purposes. So this is going to be else print try again. So I think we've got almost all of it over. Let's run the code again. This is either pink, blue, or cyan. Is it pink? No. So you can see it was not P. P was not one of the letters, so it told try again. Is it cyan? Yes, it's cyan. So C is correct, Y is correct, and if I write Y again, it says you have already guessed this letter. A is correct and N is correct. But you can see after N, it is still asking me to guess, because we have not implemented anything which checks whether we have finished the game or not. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Let me actually stop the program. Now what we are going to do is we're going to say check game over, and each time this goes around the loop, around this particular loop, we can check for game over. Again, it's giving me a red squiggly line because I've not yet implemented this guy. So I'm going to check for game over. It's going to be very simple. What you're going to check, if the color list is equal to current state. So if this current state is storing what the user currently has, like what the user knows and what the user doesn't. If this is completely full, so if these guys do not have any underscore character, meaning they must be equal to color list. Meaning each letter must equal to each letter in the color list. The game is over because the user has guessed everything. So this variable over here, this boolean variable where I define it here, I can make that equal to true. Word guess is equal to true. But to ensure Python understands that since right now I'm in a function, Python has to understand that this is not a new variable. This is a variable which I'm accessing from outside this function. So at the top, I'm going to say global word guessed to ensure Python understands that this is a variable which I'm accessing from outside this guy. This is what I'm trying to access. If you don't write this, Python is going to think that this is a new variable. Okay, so now that this function has been defined, let's see whether it actually works. Now let's say element of pink. No, okay, it's not cyan. It's okay, it's pink. So after I get the correct letters, it should stop. Okay, it stops. You can see a positive string with exit code 0 means it stopped. But this is not a very good way to stop. What I'm going to do is outside the while loop, I'm going to print. I'm just going to give a few spaces first, a few spaces, and then I'm going to say something like the word was, or I'll say the color was, since in my case I'm using colors, was color because we have the color, and I can say thanks for playing. Thanks for playing. So if I have, let's say, yellow, YELOW, the color was yellow, thanks for playing. And actually, maybe I also want to show, okay, that should be fine. It also shows. Maybe I also want to show current state right before, because it never finishes the whole thing. So how we can do that is I can display current state once more before we actually exit the loop. I can display current state like this. Yeah. So this is going to be, is that green? Yeah, I think first time we're getting green. Oh, it's giving twice. Ah, okay. I can't do that inside the loop, but I can do that outside the loop. Because then each time, what's happening right now? I got twice because it's displaying and then it's displaying again outside the loop. So I'm going to do it outside the, sorry, it's displaying 2 times. If I put it 2 times inside the loop, it'll display 2 times each time. For now, I'll put it outside the loop, so it only happens at the end. So now we have blue, pink, or cyan. Not sure which one. Okay, cyan. YAN, and you can see it just shows at the end. It says the color of cyan. Thanks for playing. So this is a very rough, I would not say the very finished way of Hangman. Not even closely finished because we have not even implemented the Hangman part of it. But I just want to show the one of the ways to make the core game thing. I would suggest you guys try to make this and actually try to make your own spin-off of this. What it means that you actually continue this on further and actually create the Hangman part. Maybe also when you print try again, maybe of course in this case the user can keep on trying. Right? If I had, let's say, I'm not sure, I can just keep on trying how many more letters I want. That's not how Hangman works. Hangman needs to have an element of tension in it. You can't just keep on trying. So what you can do is you can have like a counter for the number of tries the user has left. Number of tries. Let's say the user has 3 tries to start, and you can just print. You can make number of tries one less and say you have these many tries left. You have these many tries left, number of tries left, right? This is just one example of how you could actually update on this code or actually amend on this code. Now every time I get a letter wrong, it's going to say I have 2 tries left. Of course, I'm not implementing anything what happens when you reach 0. So if you reach 0, you can probably check for game over. You can check if it's equal to 0, then you have to have another variable to ensure that you know not to show this guy, but to show the fact that the user has actually failed it. Again, I will not be going too depth into that, since I also like to leave something for you guys to also do. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next video.